Good afternoon. My name is Maurizio Patarnello, and I'm the CEO of Nestlé Waters since January 2017. 26 years of Nestlé, of which over 16 dedicated to the water business, and I'm happy to be here today and to show what we are doing to improve the profitable growth of Nestlé Waters. Let me first of all introduce the category. Between 2016 and 18, the category continued to grow at 7% in value, mostly driven by emerging markets and especially Far East. The perspective of the category continued to be good. We forecast for the coming 5 years a growth of 6%, and Nestlé Waters is the global leader. And interestingly enough, the first four top players' market share is just above 30%, which shows how the category is still very fragmented. Bottled water is in excess of 50% of the total non-alcoholic beverage. We still have a dynamic volume growth with 6%, mostly driven by 4 consumer trends. Number one is innovation, that last year accounted for more than 30% of the total growth of the category, but also healthier drinks, that for the categories means essentially low calories or no sugar or low sugar, but also a premiumization in the premium still segment, especially in the US, that had a very good growth especially in the last 2-3 years, and a comeback of the growth in the last 2-3 years of sparkling, especially in the US. More than 50% of Nestlé Water sales are done in North America, and the balance is equally distributed between emerging markets and Europe. Traditionally, we are very strong in the mainstream, where we are leader, and in sparkling, with 20% of our portfolio, where also we are leader. We have about 20% of our portfolio which is exposed to lower end, to the competition with the private label, and we have 4% of our portfolio which is represented by premium still and functional flavor water, and we are planning to catch up there in these 2 promising segments. We have 6 strategic priorities with the aim to turn around the US and win globally. The first is to continue to sustain our growth with the international brands. The second is to protect our core and premiumize. The third is to differentiate through services and technologies, and we intend to fund this growth through a reduction of our structural cost and active management of our portfolio, which we have done already in the past, and we have taken a certain number of actions, and we continuously look at our portfolio and we review with a specific focus on those businesses that do not offer a good growth perspective or where we have a low ability to win. And then, especially for water, is extremely important to have as a strategic priority the sustainability that for us is water and plastic, and I'll come back to these points. Let me first of all focus on the international brands that had also last year a good growth, as also in the previous years. For us, the 2 iconic brands are San Pellegrino and Perrier. We have been investing in the brand in the previous years and had a good growth. Now we intend to expand also in other segments, and especially in what we call taste with no calories, and I would like to signal the very promising launch of San Pellegrino Essenza that was launched last year, at the end of last year, and is very promising, but also in the area of what we call pleasure with low calories, and I would like to outline 2 very promising launches. Perrier and Juice, that has been launched last year and then now is with the roll-up global, and Momenti, which is a sparkling beverage, fruit beverage under San Pellegrino brand with low calories. However, we want to associate to these two iconic brands also Acquapanna and enter in the retail in the premium still. Acquapanna has been present in the market together with San Pellegrino in the Oreca, very successful. However, now we intend to take advantage of the strong growth in the premium still and take our position in the retail by launching a full range of the Panna brand, especially in the US, for the home and out-of-home consumption. And we have just launched nationally with in the US with the range that you see there, and with the positioning of that capitalize on the smooth taste of this water, which is recognized and appreciated by the US consumers. We expect a good growth out of this launch, and also here the good growth in 2018 with Acquapanna. The second priority is to protect and premiumize. As you know, we have a good part of our portfolio which is represented by the case pack and especially by Nestlé Pure Life. We intend to protect it, first of all by rejuvenating the image, but most importantly to support the brand with our customers. And this is a brand, especially in the US, that is concentrated in a low number of very big retailers. Important, for the first time, we intend to differentiate our regional brands. As you know, we have a network of regional brands, and here you see two examples, Poland Spring and Deer Park, but there are other good spring waters in the US. We intend to invest in the equity of these brands and focusing on the unique differentiation point, which is being spring water and with a clear, unique origin. But most importantly, we intend to launch nationwide Poland Spring. As you know, Poland Spring is a very strong brand with a more than 50% market share in the Northeast of the US, and now we intend to launch it nationwide. And you can see here that we just launched the first SKU, which is made of 100% of recycled PET at nationwide level. We launched it, first of all, in Amazon. It's very promising. On the other hand, we are also now approaching the large retailers in the US to introduce Poland Spring at nationwide level. We are going to invest in media behind this brand, and I would like to share with you the video. This is the advertising that has been just aired in the US. And continuing on the priority of premiumization, we intend to enter in a more aggressive way in the functional and flavor water. Here you have three examples. Last year, we launched flavor water under the Regional Spring Water brand, and there's been a quite successful launch. However, we also want to enter in the functional water, and there are a few examples where we already launched in the course of 2018 under the infused water, infused with flavor, with fruits, and also infused with tea base, leveraging and capitalizing quite good European brands such as Vittel, Contrex, and Levissima. And we had just launched in emerging markets Nestlé Pure Life with the electrolytes to give an enhanced hydration, what we call the next generation of hydration, and based on two concepts, active and balance, and we're gonna roll up this in the rest of the world. The third priority in growth is to differentiate through technologies and services. You may know that we have a business of about 1 billion, which is direct to consumer. Most of it is in the US under Ready Refresh. We serve more than 1.3 million families directly in the US, and we are re-engineering completely this business. First of all, exiting those areas where we were weak and reinforcing those areas where we have a good density to increase the density as this business is based on having a good density of customers that we can deliver directly. We have also launched recently our new internet platform, which will give to consumers a much more user-friendly experience. And I'm also happy to announce you that we're going to enter in the water dispenser. As Q1 2020, we're going to launch our first water dispenser, Refill Plus, under Nestlé Pure Life brand, which will provide customers in the out-of-home with a personalized experience of flavors, enhancers, minerals, and different level of carbonation, leveraging and capitalizing the distribution through Ready Refresh in the US. Now, how do we intend to support these launches and this premiumization? First of all, through a reduction of our cost, and primarily structural cost. In the 2017 and 18, we have done a first, already started to do a reduction. We continue to do it in the course of 2019, and this should fuel our growth and enable us, first of all, to put some of it in the profit, but most importantly, to invest behind our brands. And I've given here a couple of examples that where we have invested especially in the US, in our brands, being in the regional waters, being in the premium brands. And most importantly is our sustainability strategy, which is made of two parts. First of all is the water stewardship journey, and the second, the plastic. I'll come back in a minute. We have been focused for many years within the fence of our factories, focusing on reducing the water consumption, and we have achieved very good results. In the last 10 years, we have reduced by nearly 30% the water consumption, and we've been focusing in protecting our water wells and our catchments. Now we decided to open up, as these watersheds are mostly shared with the communities. So we want to open up and make sure that we can protect this watershed together. First of all, we transparently share all the knowledge that we have of the watershed, and we know them very well. And at the same time, we work together with the communities to protect them. And at this regard, we also have taken a commitment that by 2025, we will certify to a standard of sustainability all our 94 sites across the world using the standard that has been fixed by Alliance for Water Stewardship. This is a journey that is taking and is a change of approach from focusing in our premises to opening up and working together with the communities to protect and to ensure the sustainability of the watersheds. And plastic, of course, we follow the same framework of the group, and of course adapting it to Neslté Waters. This is made, first of all, on developing the packaging and the solution of the future. We have taken commitment to use recycled PET, and I'll come back to it with some example. And at the same time, to develop new kind of packagings, such as bio packaging or biodegradable packaging, especially for those countries where the infrastructure or recycling is not yet at the right level. I mentioned before the solution that we are introducing to have a free waste environment, and the example of the Refill Plus water dispenser is one of them. And altogether, they ensure that we can tackle through recycled PET, through new kind of plastic and solution with free waste, a good part of the packaging of the future. At the same time, we have taken a commitment on neutrality. By 2030, we have taken the commitment to collect for recycling as much plastic as we produce. Last, of course, is taking the commitment to drive new behavior with internally in the organization, but it's also with our customer, consumers, and to develop a strategy of advocacy. Let me give you a few examples there on recycled PET. We have taken the commitment to reach at least 35% of recycled PET by 2025. Here you have some example of brands where we're going to go higher than 35%, up to 50%. But at the same time, we've been able to introduce a few SKUs where we proved, and we are among the first in the world, that we can produce bottles with 100% recycled PET. And here you have a few examples. And then we have some alliances and partnership to develop bioplastic or biodegradable plastic. And we work together with the regulatory and private in different parts of the world with the strategy of collection that is different geographies by geography and with the aim to reach to neutrality. Let me go to the performance of the business. 2018 has been a difficult year for Nestlé Waters. We have been strongly affected by a sudden increase of the cost of the PET and of the cost of transportation, especially in the US, that, as you know, is more than 50% of our business. We have reacted to it by taking price, but at the same time, reducing our cost. We have been able to offset a part of the impact of 330 basis points and through reduction of our cost and price increase, but at the same time, this had an impact on our volumes. This obviously is something that, let's say, happened in 2018, although also in the price of the PET continued to be challenging also in 2019. Just to summarize, we have our strategies based on drive the growth, fund the growth, and enable a sustainable growth. I mentioned, first of all, that to drive the growth, we intend to premiumize, to innovate, to enter more aggressively in functional and flavor water, to differentiate through technologies and services, but at the same time also to protect our core. Fund the growth through a reduction of our structural cost and an active management of our portfolio, and enable a sustainable growth through a water stewardship journey and a plastic roadmap. Now I'm happy to answer to your questions.
Thanks, Maurizio.
Thank you.
We open it up for questions. Maybe further down. Pierre?
Yeah, hello, Pierre from Odo. I have a question on portfolio management. You have driven over the last 3 to 4 years. You exit from Brazil. You dispose some brands in Europe. In the short, medium term, it's probably good decision in terms of management and return capital employed. But we are seeing that over years you are unbalanced with a big exposure to North America. So on the long term, is there a plan of developing more the water business outside US? Because there is plenty of opportunities in Latin America, Asia, where you are quite small. So on the very long term, what's the plan?
Well, first of all, let me tell you that most of our growth today comes from emerging markets. So organically, we are addressing the portfolio. But most importantly, what our portfolio is very much exposed, especially to the case pack in the US. So this is a part that we are continually reviewing to see what the opportunities there. And this, let's say, to ensure that we can be in the part of the portfolio where we have a good ability to win. And certainly the case pack, especially the part of the case pack which is exposed to competition with the private label, is definitely a part where it's challenging.
Tristan?
Hi, Tristan Van Streen from Redburn Partners. Just a question, whether you're considering the mixer category, especially when I look at San Pellegrino, there's also a tonic version of that. I'm just wondering why you haven't expanded on that one, considering the growth of that category.
No, thank you for this question. By the way, it's clear that the tonic water, it is something that we had in the past, and we have seen a strong growth with Fever Tree, for instance, in the mixer. And I'm happy to tell you that we are reintroducing San Pellegrino tonic in the course of 2019 under a renewed packaging image. So we are aware that there is a good opportunity in mixers, and San Pellegrino clearly can play an important role there.
Any other questions?
Thank you very much, Alain Obruber, MainFirst. Regarding DSD in waters, obviously you exited now in other categories. Do you still think it's vital, the DSD in the water business?
You see, the DSD, as it was described this morning, it's quite different from the DSD that we have in the beverage. In the DSD in the beverage, we go straight to the point of sales, and in the DSD in the frozen food, we are at the logistic level. So it's true that still the DSD in the beverage plays a role to get to the customers. And we actually have, today in Neslté Waters North America, we have a mixed model. So we reach through a DSD through wholesalers that they have a DSD, and we go direct to the large customers. So we have a mixed model, but it's quite different compared to the frozen food.
Well, we would still have time for one more question.
Hi, it's Anubhav Malhotra from Liberum. I just wanted to ask about the emerging market growth. And could you break that up for me into three components, the volume, mix, and pricing? And then further, if you could break it up in terms of how much of the volume goes through case packs and how much goes through individual bottles, and does that have an impact on your margin in the emerging markets? And am I correct to assume it is higher than in developed markets?
Yeah. Let me first say one thing. In the emerging markets, the position that Nestlé Pure Life has is not equal to the one that we have in North America. It's not positioned on the value, it's more positioned on the upper hand of the mainstream. So it's not really comparable. And we have in the emerging markets, in most of them, a dual brand strategy. So we have Nestlé Pure Life and we have a local brand. And most of the time, the volumes are split equally between both of them. But it's not comparable. I mean, the case of the United States, the case pack is quite peculiar and is exposed to the competition against private label, which is not the case in emerging markets at all.
Maybe last question, Joe-Philippe.
I have a question on the plastic, as it is a huge concern nowadays. And I wonder whether you're exploring some new packaging. I think some new startups, companies are exploring like aseptic cardboard, for instance. Are you exploring such options?
Look, I mean, I showed before, we have signed three main alliances, if you want. One is to develop bioplastic, and we're going to start to have the first results, the first, let's say, quantity, the first tons, as we said in the category, in 2020, and then we have to scale it up. Then we have an alliance with Danimer to develop biodegradable PET, which still has to deliver its result, and we recently have joined a consortium with Carbios, who is going to develop a chemical PET based on enzyme technology. So we are into the development of this new plastic, and we will continue in this direction because the recycled PET alone will not be sufficient to answer to all the needs in the future.
Really the last one, yes, Warren.
Hi, can I ask a question on Pure Life in the US? How do you actually differentiate Pure Life versus private label? You tried to take pricing in Pure Life, private label didn't follow, you lost a load of market share. Just seems to be a brand that's really struggling to differentiate. So I know you're doing the new Pure Life into offices. Is that going to be something that will differentiate the brand?
Well, these are two different things, because the Pure Life in the offices, the water dispenser, it will be only dedicated to the offices, while the case pack and the competition versus private label is in the retail mainly. It's clear that the way it is structured today, the US market offer a tough competition between Pure Life and the private label, and the differentiation is more difficult. However, we see that the US market is starting to segment. So let's say, while before it was a very large mainstream category in which there was Pure Life and the regional spring water, today we started to see a clear segmentation. In the future, it's clear, and at present, that the differentiation on Nestlé Pure Life is number one concern for us versus private label.
Thanks, Maurizio.